And you're welcome once again. Good morning. The big story, or rather report, starting this morning. Today, we turn our focus to a critical update on Nigeria's ongoing fight against crime. The Nigerian Police Force reports that over 300 kidnapped victims have been rescued this year, only in January, and 100 suspects have been arrested for crimes ranging from murder to armed robbery and also rape. Now, in a recent press briefing in Abuja, the police showcased some of these successes along with the challenges they face in tackling crime. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, was on the ground for this report. Take a look.
I'll give you full statistics.
Among the items displayed are 61 AK-47 rifles, 4 single-barrel rifles, several rounds of ammunition of various calibers, stamps, assorted drugs, and various forged documents associated with 13 suspects. According to the police, these individuals were arrested for crimes ranging from fraud, armed robbery, criminal conspiracy, and impersonation.
The duo were arrested for the offense of corporate fraud of 300 million naira only. Efforts to recover the stolen funds from the suspects proved futile as investigation reveals that most of the funds had been diverted to their personal accounts and were used for expensive gambling.
Also arrested is a 4-member gang alleged to be involved in armed robbery, primarily operating in Lagos and Ogun states. Additionally, one Yewu Suleiman, whose gang leader is currently at large and is being accused of kidnapping and armed robbery, including terrorizing the Zaria-Kano highway, was also paraded.
The suspect confessed to being part of a notorious armed robbery gang, known for mostly operating in several communities in Lagos and Ogun states. They further confessed that they majorly steal motorcycles owned by farmers.
The police said that it also arrested Mohammed Kabir, a resident of the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja, and 2 others for impersonation and criminal conspiracy, and another suspect accused of forgery.
So where are their uniforms? Okay. The suspects specialize in buying goods, mostly medical equipment and phones, using fake alerts.
This latest round of arrests and recoveries bring the total number of arrested suspects to 179 for armed robbery, 100 for kidnapping, 152 for murder, 34 for illegal possession of firearms, 77 for rape, and 110 suspected courtists. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Many thanks to Idong there for that report. And we know that Nigeria faces daunting security challenges, from kidnappings and robberies to communal clashes and terrorist attacks, as seen from that report. Over the years, various reforms have been proposed to improve security, with community policing standing out as a potential solution. But how effective has community policing been in addressing Nigeria's security issues, and what are its successes and what challenges still lies ahead? So we're going to have a joint discussion on solutions for our security structure, and also a bit of insight on that report that you just saw. First of all, want to introduce our reporter who did that report for us, Idong Joseph, all the way from Abuja, correspondent for News Central. Idong Joseph, many thanks for joining us. And also right here in the studio is Ojobaro Micheal, who's a seasoned peace and security analyst, and they both join us. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you for doing this with us this morning. First of all, let me start with you, Idong. Well done on that report. And just give us a bit of insight in terms of during the press briefing from the police there on the numbers are quite high on kidnappers, terrorists, and even cultists as well.
Sorry, can I get your question again?
I said give us a bit of insight from that police briefing, the press briefing with the...
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. From the report, you could see that from the statements, it was over 302, adding to the recent rescue of the wife of former AIG Hakim Odusum, which made the number now to 303. And From what I stated there, it was very clear that the police have gone all out for these criminal elements because it's from the total number of arrests made so far, it's over close to 700. And if you compare what the achievements for the first 3 weeks of this year compared to what we saw in 2024, where it was one case of insecurity to another, especially kidnapping, which the FCT was not spelled out. We saw several kidnapping incidents in 2023 and 24, the first 3 weeks of 2024, where it drew national attention. And if you could remember very well the case of Nabiat, where her family, a whole family of 7 was kidnapped, and later the father was released and to go and get ransom for their release. And when he was not able to do that, one of his daughters was killed and was deposited somewhere, and which he was called to come and pick. So if you try to do a comparison with what has happened within the first 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks of this year, and what happened last year, and from that press briefing, and it is very clear that the police has made tremendous progress, and it is worth commending the police for.
Oh, thank you very much, Idong. I'm going to come to the studio here with Mr. Ojobaro, who we have in the studio. I'm wondering if you agree with Idong, Mr. Ojobaro, regarding what the police has done so far. Also, the alarming number, 77 in only 3 weeks of January for rape. That's very concerning. What are your thoughts?
Sincerely, thank you for having me. Good morning. Community policing, as you have said, has been introduced in Nigeria, but it has not been practicable. In some certain community, we have about 774 local governments, that we have thousands of communities in Nigeria. And most of all the community in Nigeria does not really understand the essence of community policing. The police as an institution, where the community policing strategy was brought in by the American government, I have opportunity to undergo the training also. When it was brought to the police, the idea was sold to them. Certain police see it as there was no goodies coming in from it. And the policy of community policing could have been a solution to our security challenge as a nation.
Can you explain? There were no goodies coming from it.
Yes.
How exactly do you mean?
You know, if any policy is coming from abroad, and just like an NGO, the government will fund it. And when the government funds those things, it gets to a point, certain tables, if envelope does not really change hands, it does not really, they didn't really take those things serious.
Okay.
I remember vividly, we are on one presently. I did a training with the UK government on Prevent. Prevent is also a solution in community policing. Other than people going into crime, how can you prevent the crime from even occurring? So it's another policy that we are pushing in. So as I've said earlier, community policing could have been a solution to crime in Nigeria. Even these days, we'll be talking about terrorism, kidnapping, banditry. It has not been happening the past 3-4 years ago. It just started showing face. So community policing is a solution to this crime. But because of Nigeria as a government, Nigeria as a people does not really take community policing serious. They didn't give community policing the necessary audience and attention that is needed. That's why we are facing all these things. Certain communities in Nigeria, 1, 2, 3, 4, are really taking community policing serious, and they are seeing the results. One of those communities is a community like Ajegunle. The popular Ajegunle that is known for crime have taken community policing serious, and we are seeing the results in Ajegunle today.
How exactly have they structured this community policing? Because if they've taken that seriously, that seems to be outside the structure of the regular police which we have now. So what adjustments have they made to make it seem like community policing?
Yes, there's nothing you can do when it comes to policing without the Nigeria police. The Nigeria police has the constitutional responsibility to police the people. The community is the people we want to police. So when there is a relationship between the police and the community and the critical stakeholders, which is the political force, how do you nominate a community leader? 1. Whose DPO do you post to a community? 2. Which political leadership is in charge of that community, that local government or that community. 3. So within this triangle, you determine the success of community policing. If you have a police officer that is not committed to policing the community, he will not get the result. If you have a community leader that is not committed to the security of his community, you will not get the result. And if you have a political leader that is not committed to the security of the community, you will not get the result. But if these triangles are in line, if their vision runs together, they will produce results. And so that is what we are seeing now.
Everyone must buy into this. Idong Joseph, let me come to you and ask you about, this 300 kidnapped victims. Were there any notable stories or details about, their rescue that stood out to you?
Okay, from all of them, the one that stood out was, it was a briefing 2 weeks ago where some children were trafficked by, were allegedly trafficked by a religious leader in Plateau State, all in the guise of providing education for them. And from that, the police made us to understand that those children, after being trafficked, they were sold out to unknown persons. And when the police rescued those children and their parents came and were handed over to them, you could see the joy on their faces. That bond that they getting to reunite with their children. So that's among all of them. I think that is so touching to the hearts. And aside from that, also, if we look at this also, right here, not the book.
We're with you, Idong.
We're with you. Go ahead.
Okay. And all these all started from January the 4th. Another was the first rescue of about four victims that were held hostage. It was all due to call and cooperation from community that led to that. And that was in Imo State, which the police had to lose some of its men in that incident.
Right. Well, and then let me just come to you and ask you, Mr. Michael Ojobaro, on just community policing. Security experts have, emphasized that there's a need for multi-agency approach in tackling crime, right? And you've talked about, the triangle where all stakeholders need to be involved. But what are some challenges, in achieving this? Because when we look at the Northeast is a good example, right? There are vigilantes that are on the ground trying to do work. And we've seen airstrikes from the Air Force that have targeted those vigilantes because they mistook them for terrorists or mistook them for Lukarawa and all the sects. And so what are the challenges that you foresee in community policing? And how can they be mitigated, especially with our fight against terrorism and the other, kidnapping and epidemics that we find?
Yeah, practically, community police is a practical step. Within this triangle that I've said, there must be an understanding before you want to start fighting the crime. Before an Air Force will come into a community, they must have a relationship with the community leaders. The Air Force now stand like the police, for instance, on the triangle. The leadership that called the Air Force come and strike stand as the political leadership. So the community that you are coming is the other end of the triangle. So there must be a synergy between this triangle. So there is no way you can come and work in my community, you want to cleanse my community of crime without carrying me along. So you must inform me that you are coming. So there must be a trust, there must be a relationship, there must be a binding. So that commitment is what will determine the success of any operation. Even if you bring the entire Nigerian army into a particular community, they will never succeed except they work with the community leadership. Then that's why I say the sincerity on the part of the government, which is the other side of the triangle, if they choose the wrong people as traditional leader, as community leader, they will never get the result that is being needed.
So what you're saying is that it is not just efforts by the Nigerian police to make this work, it's also an effort by the people to choose the right people in places that will actually make this efficient enough. So community leaders are very important.
Very, very important.
Now, last week, only just a couple of days ago, the County Agbetokun actually told about the efforts the police are doing regarding the launch of community policing in Nigeria. 10,000 police have been recruited, have been trained, and they will be sent to their states of origin. So I was wondering what that factor plays in the grand scheme of things.
To be sincere with you, with all due respect, that is more political.
It's political.
That is just the simple truth.
Why do you say so?
Why I say so is so sincere is when you constables that were being recruited from all over the country and you are being posted to a particular community, they are these vigilantes, for instance, that are working as a volunteers in this community that knows the community better, that understand the community, that have sacrificed themselves. It is the community leaders that know vigilantes that are working with them. It is easier for them to nominate so number of people, 5, 10 from my community, go for this training. It's not just well enough to say, okay, I'm in Lagos. You now post me to Ijebu-Ode because I'm from my state of origin to go and police Ijebu-Ode. I don't understand Ijebu-Ode crime rate. I don't understand the terrain. There is something we call in Nigeria corner. I don't understand the various corners that a criminal can run from your gate into the studio, down outside. It's like coming in here now, I don't really know the route. So who knows the route is who you are going to use to come and tell, oh, this is where this criminal are, this is where the bandits are, this is where the terrorists are, then is. So just bringing me because of my state of origin is not a yardstick, it's not a solution. It must be somebody that is rooted and grounded in a particular community that can decide what and how they're going to solve the crime.
I'm going to pause you there, and I'm going to come back to Idong Joseph, because this actually ties into the question I want to ask Idong Joseph. Idong, I don't know if you remember, I think early last week, there was the raid on a market in Abuja where they recovered these manholes from the market. Now, I'm wondering whether in any way, shape, or form there was any sort of community policing that led to that discovery, or was it just a raid? What kind of information or intel was gotten, and can you attribute that to what Mr. Ojobaro is saying here regarding community policing and the individuals that would be necessary to make it work?
Okay, based on that, that raid, the intel gotten for that raid was due to some arrests the police first made on some scavengers who were caught stealing this manhole. So from the information they got from those who they already had in their custody, led to that raid in those markets, and where they discovered more manholes there and other public assets that were stolen.
So according to what Mr. Ojobaro here is saying, if we had community policing, do you think that it would be much more effective in recovering all of these items?
Yeah, I would agree with him totally, because definitely if you're in the community and you're providing this voluntary service as a form of vigilante service in your community, definitely you know the nooks and crannies of your community, and if you're being paid to secure your environment, you give in your best, because at first you were doing it voluntarily and now you're being paid for it. I think community policing and engaging those in the community who have been providing this voluntary service will go a long way in providing more security in local communities.
Now, there's something that we're not putting in this discussion, and it's training, right? But not just training, but also where checks and balances, where one person power stops, another continues, and how they can check it. Now, the Nigerian police force in its entirety have had issues with trust deficit, and it's only because of the character of the police officials, whether it's for road checks or, you know, search and warrants and stop and search situations, or just basically in carrying out their duties or, you know, responsibility. There's not been enough done, and so there's this trust deficit. Now, if you throw community policing into this, it means vigilantes, it means, you know, community leaders and the rest. So how then can we implement checks and balances? How best can we train the people who are in this structure of community policing So much so that integrity matters, and there's still no trust deficit that we have with the Nigerian police force. Let's start with you, Mr. Micheal.
And that is where experts like us come in. If you allow me to come and help you to police your community.
Yeah, please, I'll give you a receipt to check after.
I will be able to look into your community proper and give you an ABC that we need to do. And in the next 1 year, you come and tell us, thank you, my community.
What would
this be? Because you're busy telling your market. I will give you a voice. I'll give you a voice.
The simple truth is, I like practical. For instance, let me use a community that I'm presently the Executive Secretary of the Security Trust Fund. It was known as a notorious community. There was so much crime. And I was contacted that, okay, what can we do? Firstly, we had a meeting with the entire community leaders, strengthen them, encourage them, give them the morale, and give them that trust that they can be able to trust in me. Shares my number with them. Then I went back to the police, had a meeting with them. This is what this community wants. These people, they are being raped. It's a den of criminals, armed robbers, phone thief, one chance, and etc. They need you. So whenever, who is in charge of, every community, for instance, has different streets. Let's say they have about 50 streets. In each street, you now have a representative that will be able to tell us what is happening on that street. So before a crime wants to happen on that street, it calls me. I call the police or the unit that is within that environment, and there's also an action. And when we realize that, okay, we also have the opportunity for the Open Mensa, we have opportunity for the Vigilantes, the OPC, we have to have a training with them also.
But then, with community policing, are vigilantes necessary? If I notice that you're saying that there is a flaw in the manner in which the Inspector General of Police is attempting to do it here, transferring constables to their states of origin, albeit that they are not really conversant with these states. So that's the flaw we've identified. However, if you now add vigilantes into a successful structure, don't you think that you still have problems? Because vigilantes lack the training. Vigilantes could be subject to influence from other elements and could destroy the plan.
We are trying to misquote ourselves here. Vigilante, OPC, and etc., they are just a civil security personnel. Just like me and you living in the community. We are all civilians. Carrying of arms is not our responsibility. Our key responsibility is to be a surveillance, to be vigilant about what is happening within our immediate environment, and call on the necessary police unit or the security agency attached to that community for action.
But that's not how it works now. Vigilantes actually carry arms.
It is because
maybe not
of
guns, but machetes.
No, this issue has become like everyone see, for instance, looking at the reports that the police give, the annual report, if you look at it, 1,000 people were kidnapped by 30,000 criminals. 100 people were kidnapper was recovered by 1,000 people. If you look at the range very well, and they recover 1,000 arms, what people are afraid of when they want to kidnap you is that arm. It is not you physically. If you see a small boy that carry an arm and wants to kidnap you, at a go you'll be afraid. But if that small boy does not carry any arm, you will grab him on yourself. So that's to tell you the fact that it is the arm that people are carrying that is giving them that power to increase this crime. Likewise, government and political forces have seen arm as an opportunity to be in control. That is where the fight for Amotekun, everybody wants to have the control of the police within their state policing. It is just because of the arm. Normally, policing, community policing is all about intelligent reports. It's all about vigilant about what is happening in your community. It's all about communication. So when you have good intelligence reports, you are vigilant and you communicate to the right channel, the community will be 100% free of crime. And there will be less crime how much more you want to start making arrests?
Interesting.
In community policing, we've also talked about the conversation that has been on the national stage and for quite some time now has been decentralizing the Nigerian police to make it at state level so that the state governors can be in charge of each force for each state. And that way there will be more officials and personnel that can be, and they can take care of their welfare and all the regards. Where does community policing fall into decentralization of the Nigerian police force? And will there be need for community policing if the police force is decentralized?
If it is done with sincerity of purpose, as I've said, presently, one of the local governments I'm handling now, we look at if we want to be in charge of the security excellently, provide a patrol vehicle for the police. How many police divisions do you have? You have 3. Out of that 3, how many junctions or link do you have that link out of your community? You have 15. Provide 15 vehicles. Provide allowances for these officers. Let them put certain number of officers to this community. Provide the fueling of this vehicle. Let there be a regular patrol within that vehicle. Then call on the community leaders. In every community, there is this patrol team that is working with you.
Touch point.
So there is a relationship between the community and the police. In line with this, you can be able to have an excellent community policing. But if it's just like the way IRS is operating in Lagos, is an excellent state policing. You don't have to be under the Lagos state government, but they are partially under the payroll of the Lagos state government. They are working directly with the office of the deputy governor.
As a neighborhood.
And they are not the neighborhood.
The one with the blue rapid response squad. Is that not?
No, it's not. They are full police. They are regular police.
Then which one is the one that has a label? That's the Lagos neighborhood security.
Security.
So the rapid response squad is just a standard example and a standard of community policing. The challenge is that there is a big detachment in role. That is where the political interest comes in. If the role and the responsibility of the RRSS is being followed rapidly, you will get an excellent community policing.
But Judith, you actually raised something very important. So what are their duties now, the Lagos neighborhood security, what's it called now?
The Lagos neighborhood security, I think it's camps committee or
Lagos
something.
State Security Neighborhood Corps.
Yeah,
there we go. Corps. I was wondering where the SC was for.
So,
thank you.
What then for them? I mean, that's supposed to be their duties. They're supposed to actually be. Am I correct, Judith?
Excellently, in some the formation of the Lagos State Security Neighborhood Corps is to select people within different communities to come and work with the police in policing their community.
So that's a sample of policing community.
But what is the formation? Who and who were selected into it? When things have become politically, when there's political interest, it affects the essence of security. Security is one thing that we should never involve politics. And that is where we are failing in this country.
Right.
You want to pick a security CSO. You look at your political alliance. You are not looking at who is competent to do this job for you. So most of the people that were selected into the corps are not really inclined, are not really committed to the security of their community. It's just that the person that wants, okay, do you need a job? They'll be paying you salary. Okay, write out your name. You list out the whole member of your political party or your political group, and you forward them to the states. So that's the challenge we're having. But if things are being done without political inclination or for the essence of a peaceful and a secured society, we'll get this thing done.
Let me come to you, Idong, right? With this report that you filed in and this press briefing from the police regarding the criminals that they have in custody, just giving a year-end report, has this eased the minds of residents in Abuja? And how is the security now like in Abuja?
Okay, thank you. In Abuja, I would say that this has helped ease the tension of insecurity in the federal capital. And aside from the headquarters, the police headquarters reports, there are some other achievements being recorded in the area of one chance, because one chance has been an issue in the federal capital, and the FCT Police Command has been doing a lot. We could see several reports of arrest and rescue of victims who were trapped by these one chance operators. And for quite some time now, the issue of one chance has been downplayed. We don't hear of it that much. So I believe this has helped ease the tension of insecurity in the federal capital, and I hope it is the same across the country.
Oh, we hope so, but you can hear Mr. Ojobaro here laughing.
Why I'm laughing? Sorry, I'm so excited that he made that issue of the one chance. I remember one of the success we had was to be able to conquer this set of crime. You know, there are some criminals that you arrest, you charge to court, and you get to court, there's no complainant. They will ask them to go away. The one chance criminal that are the majority of this type of criminals.
Oh, so that's why they're back on the streets again, and you can even identify them multiple times.
But as of yesterday, I was discussing with my security team, and we are trying to come up with a solution for that. So that will be for...
tell us the solution.
Yeah, another conversation. Let's Intel, let them not find out. Well, I want to say thank you very much to Michael Ojobaro for coming.
Thank you very much for having
And also
me.
to you, Idong Joseph, for giving us your Sunday morning. Maybe now you can go to church. Hopefully. Well, thank you very much, Idong Joseph, and thank you very much, Ojobaro.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.